You grab the budget pack and think, a deal is a deal. But when it shrinks by half and tastes like salt and smoke water, you paid more for less. I've been there. In this lineup of 12, we'll call out the 7 worst offenders for failure to crisp, weak flavor, and greasy finish. Then I'll show the 5 that consistently brown and bite right, including health-leaning options with cleaner labels. Your cart, your rules, just make it an informed buy. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1 Oscar Mayer. You trust the big red label. It feels safe, like a default setting you don't have to think about. Here's the truth. That comfort tack shows up in the pan. Lay the strips down and watch. The slices buckle fast, edges lift, and a puddle forms where water and fat leak out. The surface browns early, but the center stays rubbery, so you pull it too soon and get a salty chew with weak smoke. Quick color is a sugar and protein reaction. It can signal doneness, but here it often misleads when fat hasn't rendered. Consumer panels put mass-market staples in the middle for flavor depth, pointing to bland smoke and heavy salt. Yield drops when added solution cooks off, and thin geometry curls away from heat. Bottom line, you pay for the name, then lose value to curl, shrink, and flat taste. If you buy it, go oven rack, lower heat, longer render. Now at number 2, the rock bottom sticker price that turns into a drain of fat and water. Number 2, great value, Walmart. The lowest price on the shelf pulls you in. Here's the kicker. The real bill shows up after you cook. Lay great value strips across a pan. They start wide, then shrivel to a tight footprint, like a shirt that hits a hot dryer. The pool left behind is grease and water, not meat. Panels and taste tests often call out harsh salt, faint smoke, and fragile slices that tear when you flip. Roundups flag this line as underwhelming despite the savings, noting texture that goes from limp to brittle with little meaty chew. High water in the cure and fast shrink turn a 16-ounce pack into a small pile of crispy crumbs and chewy ends. You paid for bacon but plated scraps. Bottom line, cheap at checkout, pricey after cooking. If you need a store brand, scan for thicker, center-cut variants and shorter ingredient lists. Next up, a legacy name that splits opinion on clean ingredients versus everyday flavor. Number 3, Smithfield Regular Bacon. You expect middle-of-the-road bacon to be safe, but here the regular cut swings uneven. Crisp edges, bendy center, salt first, smoke last. The pan says greasy, not meaty. In the oven, you get a bit more control, yet thin streaks still dry before the fat renders. On a skillet, hot spots turn those thin lanes into frizzled stripes, while thicker pockets stay soft. You chase color, but the bite lands sharp and saline. A major taste test called the flavor decent, then knocked it for grease, which capped its rank at 7th. Nutrition panels tell a story too. Sodium and sugar run competitive with mass brands, not leaner. The result is fast browning and a thirsty finish. Lists often rate the all-natural or uncured line stronger than this base product. Bottom line, if you stick with the brand, go center cut or all-natural. Skip the regular, or you pay for runoff and flat finish. Now at number 4, a black label badge that leans sweet but stumbles in texture. Number 4, Hormel Black Label. The label says premium and the price tells you it means business. Here's the truth. In the pan, that polish turns messy fast. You lay down strips and get quick color from sugar in the cure. The glaze browns early, grease pools, and the slice stays limp, until in a blink, it goes brittle. The bite lands slick, then sharp. Not that clean, crisp, and chew you want. Added sugars push surface browning ahead of fat render, so smoke reads muted and pork gets lost. Health-minded lists warn that flavored versions like brown sugar run high in sodium and sugar. That can distract your palate and add load you don't need, especially for seniors watching blood pressure and glucose. If you like the sweet edge, bake on a rack and pat the strips mid-cook to pull off extra grease. Bottom line, you pay more, then lose yield to sugar scorch and runoff. Next up, a budget staple that cooks thin and stringy. Number 5, Farmland Classic Cut. Classic sounds safe, but here the slices run thin and tight, and that shape sets you up for curl. Lay 2 pieces side by side, one held flat with a rack, one left alone. The free one ripples fast, edges lift, and steam gets trapped under the arch. That steam keeps fat from rendering, so you hit a narrow window. Greasy soft 1 minute, scorched edges the next. You work the heat, but the center stays dense and the bite leans salty. Rankings have dinged this cut for under-seasoned pork flavor, with salt out front and not much smoke depth. That fits the cook. Quick color, little aroma, and a chew that reads more brine than belly. You can fight curl with a bacon press or an oven rack, but that extra gear and time erase the bargain. Better picks ahead give you crisp without the wrestling match. Now at number 6, the bargain that reads value, yet behaves like scrap trim in the pan. Number 6, Bar S Bacon. The price looks unbeatable. Here's the truth. That low tag gets erased on the stove. You cook Bar S and watch it collapse. Heavy shrink, a glossy pan of grease, and the meat note fades behind salt and bottled smoke aroma. On a yield plate, you end with more paper towel soaked than actual strips flip mid-cook, and strands tear because the slice lacks structure like a rope made of threads that don't grip. Budget lines often use thinner bellies and push a hard cure. That drives water loss and fast browning without a firm render, so tests rate them low for pork flavor and clean crisp. The result is brittle ends, chewy centers, and a mouthfeel that slides before it snaps. Bottom line on cost per cooked ounce, the deal backfires. If you see this brand, keep walking or spend one tier up for edible yield. Next up, a warehouse favorite where your results depend on which sub-line you grab. Number 7, Kirkland Signature. Standard, not uncured. Buying big saves trips. You think you're locking in value with a giant pack. Here's the truth. The standard Kirkland run can cook greasy and uneven. Slices vary in thickness, so parts crisp while other spots stay soft. That mismatch throws off timing and can spark flare-ups as fat hits the heat. On a sheet pan, you see wide rivers of runoff and a mild pork note that doesn't match the volume of grease. A bulk buy magnifies flaws. When texture disappoints, you're stuck with pounds of it, not a sample size. Roundups often show store brands swing from solid to poor between lines. For this label, uncured or thick-cut versions tend to perform better than the standard. Bottom line, if you go Kirkland, pick the stronger subline or split the pack with a friend and test first. Now let's shift to safe bets that hold their shape and deliver real flavor. Number 1, Applegate Naturals Uncured Bacon. You want fewer additives without giving up taste. Here's the truth. Most natural labels sell the idea, not the bite. Applegate tends to deliver. Slices lie flat and render clean. In pan or oven, you get balanced smoke, a real pork note, and a good snap instead of a sugary crunch. Tests often praise simpler ingredients and an edge-to-edge crisp with less greasy aftertaste, which means you eat what you paid for, not blotter paper. Think of it like swapping a syrupy barbecue for a dry rub that lets the meat speak. Health-minded lists point to no added nitrites or nitrates beyond those from natural sources, plus sodium that lands in a moderate lane. That helps seniors and anyone watching blood pressure without killing flavor. Bottom line, higher sticker, better yield and taste. You plate more bacon you actually want to eat. Next up, a premium belly with applewood depth and steady texture. Number 2, Neiman Ranch Applewood Smoked. You pay extra here, so you expect craft, not hype. The question is simple. Does it cook like the price suggests, or is it a glossed-up label? Here's the truth. The Applewood smoke reads clean, not harsh. You get pork first, smoke second, sweet last. Strips lie flat, the fat renders steady, and the bite snaps without shattering. No sugary scorch, no rubbery center. The fat-to-meat balance does the work, so color tracks doneness instead of faking it. Premium lines with tighter sourcing get credit for consistent bellies and better animal care. That consistency matters on your stove. Slices match in thickness, resist curl, and finish even across the pan. It's like getting straight lumber at the hardware store, and everything builds square so your bacon's structure holds. Bottom line, when you want full flavor and a strip that looks like the photo, this one earns the upcharge with yield and bite to match. Next, a natural brand that wins on both ingredients and cook performance. Number 3, Pedersen's Natural Farms. You want clean ingredients and a steady cook. Here's the truth. A lot of natural bacon reads well on the label, then turns dry and dull in the pan. Pedersen's fixes that with lower sugar and even slabs. lay it on a skillet and the strips lie flat. Render in a steady line and give a crisp with chew finish instead of shards. In the oven, the color builds with the fat, so doneness tracks the look, not a sugar flash. It's like swapping sticky glaze for a dry brine that does the job quietly. Health Forward lists praise the simple cure and no added nitrites or nitrates beyond natural sources. Texture notes lean toward clean snap, warm smoke, pork first, less grease left on the tray, more bacon on the plate. Bottom line, it keeps shape, keeps flavor, and doesn't flood the pan. Strong value when you care what's in the cure. Now, another safe lane with a dry rub that brings spice and structure. Number 4, Welshire Dry Rubbed. Dry rub sounds bold. Here's the truth. It still has to cook clean or you pay for spice, not bacon. Overspiced strips can hide weak meat and turn bitter when sugar burns. Welshire's dry rub plays support, not cover. In a skillet or on a rack, slices lie flat, render steady, and finish with a warm aroma and a firm chew. Color tracks doneness instead of racing ahead, so you avoid slick fat and charred edges. The company's turkey versions often test well for texture and label clarity, and that same approach shows up here. Simple cure, focused rub, and consistent slabs give even crisp without a salty film. You end with bacon that tastes like pork first, spice second, and salt last. Bottom line, you get flavor, not just salt. The tray holds less runoff and more edible strips, which keeps your money on the plate. And finally, a grocery cult favorite that overperforms its price. Number 5, Trader Joe's Uncured Dry Rubbed Bacon. You want one easy win you can grab on a normal run. Here's the truth. Most store bacon lets you down after the sizzle. This one often doesn't, and that's rare at this price. Pan or oven, the dry rub boosts aroma without a sugar scorch. Strips hold shape, render clean, and give a steady crisp with a real pork note. Tests that focus on flavor and texture often push it near the top for robust taste, good snap, and less greasy finish. Slice integrity stays strong when you flip, so you don't lose a strip to tearing. Multiple roundups call out less extreme shrink and a cleaner label than the usual budget pack. That means more edible bacon on the plate and fewer paper towels soaking up waste bottom line. Price meets performance here. Strong yield, reliable snap, and a label you can live with. Time to pull it all together. Here's the truth. The cheapest pack often costs you most. In the pan, on the plate, and in taste. You pay for water, sugar, and curl, then watch your breakfast turn into grease and crumbs. That's not value, that's a slow leak in your food budget. Check yield, not just price. Look at shrink, slice integrity, and how clean it renders. Share your worst shrink story below, the pan that turned into a puddle. Want the truth about what's really safe? Subscribe now and I'll show you what to avoid and what's actually safe. Spend a little smarter and your breakfast pays you back.